systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Talking hoops, my man Rio. 6 games on DraftKings, 5 games on FanDuel. We were talking a little pre-show. Yeah, Rio asked for bigger slates. We do get some bigger slates, and we get the Utah Jazz, who we always love to pick on some questionable stuff, though, for some Q tags, and it's on an island at 9 p.m. Eastern. But, yeah, I think a pretty good slate. Rio sounded excited about it. That's always good. Washington chalk. If I had to describe the slate, sorting by ownership, right now, 4 of the top 6 guys in projected ownership is on the Wizards. They do lock right away. So, interesting slate. Excited to go game by game. How are we doing today, Rio?
Yeah, we're doing good. Looks like a pretty fun slate right off the bat. Got a lot of Warriors stuff to talk through. They've been playing really bad lately. Got Jonathan Kuminga back into the rotation last game, so we'll see if that sticks. But yeah, it's a pretty fun slate, some high totals, couple potential blowouts. I wish that the Wizards weren't getting as much love as they are right now, because I think it's a really good spot for them. But we'll talk through it, hopefully find some pivots around these guys, because I don't think you want to play 4 or 5 Wizards in the first game of the slate.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. That's a big talking point for sure, since a lot of ownership's going there. My question is, how does Steve Kerr not play Kuminga? I mean, he was really good for him yesterday. 21 minutes, 20 points. He was +3 in the plus-minus category, where like all the starters like the -20. So how do you not?
I think he has to. I feel like there's a good chance that he even starts tonight. You just gotta play. Like I've been listening to a lot of podcasts right now, because obviously with Jimmy Butler tearing his ACL, everybody's expecting Kuminga to step up, and they're all talking about his trade value, and like this could increase his trade value. I don't think that that's really the case. Like, teams know what they're going to get from Kuminga at this point. We've seen him for 3-4 seasons now, so we kind of know who he is as a player. But I just feel like if the Warriors are going to be competitive, you have to replace Jimmy's production, and they were very reluctant to play those two guys together the past 2 seasons since they got Jimmy. So it just makes a lot of sense for you to start Kuminga and play him a lot, honestly.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, him and Kerr's relationship can't be repaired or whatever. I don't know what that's about, but you have to try. He's better than a lot of the other guys, in my opinion, that I think they have. Collier, I was laughing at our guy Matt. What's up, Matt? We got wins a lot, huh?
He crushed the other night. Yeah, we're talking about. I think that was a Tuesday slate where we talked about Collier as a pivot over Clayton, and he smashed. That was a good
Matt
game.
Put it in the chat again. Yeah, great call there, Matt. Wins a lot in here. Rodney, Jordan, Little Neck, John, Jose, Nate D, Paraby. What's going on? I love this picture. I saw that Paraby in the Discord too. Love that. It's been a long time since I've won. Where do I concentrate my attention today? We'll go game by game, and we'll do our best to walk you through the slate. But I would recommend, if you're a Ship It Nation member and you go to more and go down to education, check out the NBA video for 2 hours. You never know what little things can pop up that clicks with you or whatever. So check that out. Check out Rio and Sheet's Saber Sim videos, Saber series. It is just the NFL right now, but it's very detailed oriented, and you can apply a lot of stuff that they talk about from over there from NFL to NBA. So yeah, there's a lot of videos. Saber School. If you sign up for the daily pass, $9, you get Saber Sim 5 days for $19. I think that's probably the best deal. Gets you a lot throughout the weekend. MMA, NBA, NFL, big NFL slate, obviously. MMA back, and NHL. So a lot of big prizes right there. PGA Showdown is going on right now, and there's definitely an edge in the Showdown streets with multiple courses this week. So yeah, you check that out. 5 days, $19. You get all the education courses, and check out Rio Sheet's videos. Mess around in Saber Sim. That's how I'd recommend. But if you can't, all we ask is the like button, and we'll talk through the slate the best we can. And I got nothing else there. Anything? What's up, Avery, Justin, Ricky, William? Good to see you guys too. Anything on this slate? Anything you want to talk about before we go game by game?
No, nothing really that stood out to me. I think we'll kind of find some things to talk about. I'll just tell you, you gotta check your Discord messages real quick, and then we'll jump right in. But it's
all right
for the end.
All right, sounds good. I will talk about this game, intro it, and then I will check it after. So first game of the night, Charlotte Hornets and the Orlando Magic. We are looking at 5.5-point favorites of the Magic, 223.5 total in this one. Injuries on the Charlotte side, LaMelo's questionable. Trey Mann is out. Grant Williams is out on the Orlando side. No Franz Wagner, no Jalen Suggs. All I'll say is, or actually I'm going to ask you, and you can talk about it. Is this a real LaMelo thumb injury or whatever it is, or is it just, man, this guy makes them so much worse, and G-Ball is out there shooting off of one leg. It's time to put him on the bench and see what we can get.
Yeah, I mean, he shot, 1 for 10 in the first half, so they probably just 0 for 10 from 3, so it's like when, you like a kicker misses a field goal and then they like hurt their leg all of a sudden. I feel like it's something like that. It's just a management tag. I feel like they're just trying to find ways to get him nights off without alarming anything to the NBA. But I mean, it is a back-to-back. Talked about it yesterday. He was going to be managed in one of these. You get the questionable tag here, so feels like he's got a good chance to sit, which would definitely make this game a lot more appealing than it is right now. It's a really low total, but there is some value. I see Noah Penda popping now as a value with Franz Wagner out. I think he's probably going to be the guy that's starting now. I just got to double check. He's projected to start now. So that's definitely interesting. I didn't really notice that when I was initially writing up this game. You also get Mo Wagner back. I think he returned in the game in Germany against Memphis, 14 minutes there. Good to see him back. Always liked him as a player. I would say that the appeal from this game from a fantasy perspective would come from the Orlando side. Taking away Franz Wagner, obviously Suggs still out, makes guys like Paulo, Bane, and Black their usage roles a little bit better. I do like Paulo the best of the three at 9.3K just because we know that he's got big upside, triple-double upside, 29% usage rate, 26% assist percentage, 14% rebounding rate. The point-per-minute production is not great. Should be priced a little bit lower from what we've seen from him, just 1.17 with Suggs and Franz off the court. But it is a pretty good matchup. The Hornets are a team that has been playing really good defense as of late, but they are a bit more vulnerable around the basket. Orlando is they're the fourth highest offensive rim frequency in the NBA, so they're just looking to get to the rim. Charlotte, you can attack at the basket, so I think it's a pretty good matchup for Paulo there. I prefer Black over Bane. He's just been the better fantasy producer this season. 7.3K I think is a good price for him. The Hornets are a little bit vulnerable with guards as well, so I think that he's in a pretty decent spot. And then I do like Penda as a value at 3.8K. That's a really good price tag. Honestly, that we really didn't have a ton of value. We've seen him have really high minute ceiling, 27 minutes, 31, 30, 38 over his last 4 of his last 6 games with Franz out. So he looks pretty good there.
That's a lot of magic, I will say. At ownership for on this slate, they're going to be super low owned. You had quite a bit of interest, so I just found that pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's more so like Paulo and Penda seem like the two clear guys, and then it's like a teardrop down to Black and then another teardrop down to Desmond Bane. I don't really have a ton of interest in Bane, but I do like Paulo and Jace.
So what do you have Penda? What do you have him projected at? 12.93 Saber Sim, 14 for us. I'm taking the average at 13.6. Like, you got him what, 19, 18 or something?
Fantasy points wise?
Yeah.
Gotta see what the minutes are, but we should. I don't know if we've updated yet, but we should have him close to 30 as a starter.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they're projecting 21 minutes. That's why. So
Yeah,
this will all be updated, but yeah, that's a lot of interest. I mean, Paulo's definitely going to be contrarian spend. And the thing is, there is Q tags later in the slate, but you just can't focus on backloading. Like, there's just too much appeal in these early games. So yeah, if you only have like 1 or 2 spots after because you're playing Wizards and you're like, should I play Paulo? Should I save a spot? I mean, I would just play Paulo and stuff. There's so many good plays early. It's hard to do so on a lot of teams, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Just going back to the Hornets side, I think that it's kind of more of a stay away right now if LaMelo were to be in. But if he is ruled out, there's 2 guys that I would have interest in, and that would be Colin Sexton and Brandon Miller. The way to attack Orlando, especially with Suggs off the court, is with guards, mainly guys that score in pick and roll. Those are the two best pick and roll scoring options outside of LaMelo. And we've seen Colin Sexton is kind of like the main guy that does really well in the pick and roll. He should get the start. I think the minutes, there's a chance that he plays a lot of minutes tonight because some of the guys that would play behind him normally, KJ Simpson and Trey Mann, are out for this game. So it'd basically be him as like the lone true point guard on the roster. I guess you can obviously run more offense through guys like Con Miller and Bridges, but he's really the only point guard left on the team. So I think that he'd be a very, very solid value play at 4.9K and would allow you to get off some of that Wizards chalk as well. And I think people are going to be pretty excited to play the Wizards tonight, so you might get him at decent ownership. So that's kind of what I'm viewing on the Hornets stuff. Don't really have a ton of interest elsewhere.
I mean, most guys on this slate, you're going to get a decent ownership discount if they're in like the same price range as these Wizards. We'll get right into that game. I have nothing more to add, but it's going to probably be a little bit to talk about this. Denver Nuggets and the Washington Wizards. 6.5-point favorites of the Nuggets, 226.5 total in this one. On the Denver side, Jonas Valanciunas is questionable. On the Washington side, no Koulibaly. AJ Johnson's questionable. No Bagley, Vukovic. But yeah, mainly no Koulibaly. So just looking at it, just sorting point per dollar, so many of these guys are projecting very, very well. Ownership following. Nobody on the Wizards. Let's see. 6.8K is the highest priced Wizard we got right now. Sorting by projection. Yeah, I mean, they're obviously pretty thin. So looking at the minutes, they look strong. I mean, take it away. Like, how many is too many? You did mention that you don't want, I don't know what number you said, 4 or 5. Like, optimizers are going to push that on some teams. So are you going to make rules and be restrictive? Very curious to hear where you go with this.
Yeah, I definitely will be a little bit more restrictive on the Washington stuff. It's just very rare on slates this big. You're going to get 4 to 5 guys that hit the optimal. Even I wanted to check the perfect lineup for last night because you did get a lot of really good scores from Detroit, but only one was on the winner last night. So that's pretty interesting. Like even Dennis Jenkins wasn't on the winner. You most likely needed like 3 in your single entry contest, probably Duran, Jenkins, and Duncan or Asar Thompson. So I wouldn't say to not play 4 or 5 of these guys in single entry stuff, but larger field MME, I think you definitely can be more restrictive and get away from some of the chalk.
That's really interesting. Like we talk about it, you're playing 2 different games almost in the single entry, high 7-7-7 versus the flagship. Wow, like that, or the Pistons did really well. Like they had a lot of flames next to them. They were high owned. So just to hear one of them is on the optimal, that really shows. And with how top heavy the payouts are nowadays, like you want to, I think, get a little lower owned, a little more off the board than you might even feel comfortable with or think. So yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's been, I feel like this season more so than seasons past, you haven't needed to be perfect. Most slates, like there's a lot of random guys popping up. Like even if you were to get off of some of the Pistons chalk, you still had to get a lot right to win. Because we're talking about guys like Landry Shamet, Micah Peavy, and Luke Kennard, who are all probably maybe at most 1% owned in large field stuff. So you still need a lot to go right if you do fade that chalk. But it's more so just saying that you can get away from it if you want to, and you get a pretty big ownership discount off some of the guys that you'd play over the chalky plays. But yeah, Denver side, obviously a great spot to attack. It feels pretty narrow on who you want to play on this team right now, especially if Jovel is out, then that would definitely complicate things. I don't know. He's a little bit ahead of schedule for what they initially had for him with the calf strain. It was looking like a 4 to 6 week timeline. This would be 3 weeks out. So maybe he sits one more game and then returns in the next one. But with him back, I would imagine they go right back to him in the starting lineup. We've seen a lot of times recently with these teams where they'll bring these guys off the bench. I feel like they start Jovel just because they've been so bad at protecting the basket lately. They're dead last in rim defense this month. Just really, really struggling there with no true center on the roster behind Jovel and Jokic. So I feel like they'd go back to him, and that would likely kick out Spencer Jones in the starting lineup. I think it'd be Jamal, Watson, Gordon, Jovel, and Pickett, I think is what they – is it? Yeah, I think that'd be the 5 that they would go with there. In terms of guys that I'm looking at on the Wizard or the Nugget side, Jamal Murray is kind of the clear-cut number 1 option for me. Wizards are allowing the fourth most fantasy points to opposing point guards this season. Jamal averaging just under 51 DK points per game without Jokic. Just went off for 42 points against his team a few games ago. 63 DK points, obviously clear upside there for a guy like Jamal Murray, just playing really, really high-level basketball. Prefer him the most. And then I have Gordon ahead of Peyton Watson. I was digging into some of the advanced tracking stuff for Aaron Gordon. He's been much more involved as a playmaker over the last 5 or so games. The potential assists are way up from his season average. I think he's averaging 3 potential assists earlier this season, 8.5 over his last 5 games, shooting 43% from beyond the 3-point line. So just a really good role for Aaron Gordon. And he was 2 points away from a triple-double against the Wizards last time. I think that the things he does well, scoring around the basket and then also providing some playmaking, makes him a really, really strong play at 7.1K. Also very encouraging to see him get back up to 32 minutes in each of the last 2 games. So like him as the second best option. Then I think you can go to Peyton Watson, but I think it's really a big price tag for him to pay off on this big of a slate. So probably won't go there. And I think that is the cutoff for me for the Denver side. On the Washington side, I really, really like Alex Sarr and Keyshawn George in particular, but I think Alex Sarr is really good at 6.8K. Like I mentioned, the Nuggets really struggling to defend the paint. I don't think that it gets much better with Joe Val out there because he's never been a guy that's a defensive stopper against opposing centers. And I was just looking at some of the numbers for Alex Sarr. Basically, in every game that he's played 29 or more minutes this season, he's averaging 44.3 DK points per game in those games. I think his low was probably 38, which is pretty solid for his price tag. But you have a ton of ceiling if you run into a game where he's playing 32, 33. And with Marvin Bagley out, I think that he's more likely to play the higher end of minutes tonight. So I think we get a really strong game from Sarr. Just with him kind of you eliminate a decent backup center like Marvin Bagley for a guy I don't even know who would play backup, maybe Will Riley or Anthony Gill. Those guys aren't NBA talent level players right now. So I feel like Sarr, playing him 30 to 32 minutes makes him an exceptional play tonight.
Yeah, Saber has it right at 31. I like it. I mean, that's a great stat for when he gets those minutes, what he averages. As you can see, Jose asked in the chat too, what's Middleton's minutes? So I have this pulled up on SaberSim every show, and I love how it you can sort point per dollar. Right next to it, I have minutes, the projection in minutes, which is important, like we're referencing. And then this is fantasy point per minute. Obviously, the higher the better. You see 1.32. That's very elite. Let me sort on this slate. Gafford, I mean, that's irrelevant. Wemby, which shows what of a tier he's in, 1.95. But yeah, Sarr not too far below, 1.32. So yeah, it's a lot of information on the screen right here. You can see what we have it projected at, what Ship Nation or SaberSim has it projected, Ship Nation, the ownerships, all that. So yeah, I mean, Sarr looks great. Then he'll be the chalkiest center on him, and Wemby will be very, very popular double center duo on this slate with how much guard and other value we have.
Yeah. So to me, it's pretty clear that Sarr is a guy I have the most interest in on Washington, but then Keyshawn George is not too far behind him. He looks like he's playing the same way that he was earlier this season, where he was just crushing at the kind of similar price tag. He's more so the point guard for the team. Obviously Bub is more of a prototypical point guard. And then you have Trey Johnson, who's a point guard by position only, but more of a 2 guard. Middleton can mix in as well. But Keyshawn George is the guy that's running the point for them. His scoring is way up over his last 4 games. He has seen an increase in his touch time as well, averaging 21 points per game, shooting the ball much better, adding peripheral stats across the board, averaging 5 assists and 6 rebounds per game. And then he just went off for 29, 5, and 7 against the same Denver defense 2 games ago. So I really like one of Keyshawn George or Sarr to have a good game, if not both. I think they're both very strong at these price tags. And then you got to talk about Bub and Trey Johnson, because these guys are getting a lot of ownership. Bub is just playing so many minutes right now. It's really tough to see him failing, even at 5.4K. I don't think that he's the best per minute producer. He's right around 0.83 fantasy points per minute with CJ and Kispert and all these guys off the court. But he is mixing a lot more. It's basically him and Keyshawn George running the point. He has a 32% on-ball percentage over the last 7 games, averaging 35.5 minutes per game, which is amazing. It's a huge increase. He was 27 minutes in every game prior to the last 7. 11.2 potential assists per game. So it's really hard to not see a way where he's viable as a fantasy option, playing 37 plus minutes a night over the last 3. So I think I do have interest in him. I think Trey Johnson, you can get away from him at 50% ownership or whatever he's looking at. I don't mind the matchup for him, but he is more of like a 3-point shooter. The Nuggets are a team that you want to attack around the basket. So I think there is a way to get away from him for sure. Didn't shoot the ball great last time out, but he's still playing around 30 minutes. So it's a good role for Trey Johnson, but I just don't really like that he's going to get so much ownership. And the same thing for Champagnie. I think that the high-end minutes for him might be a little bit lower now with Middleton getting healthy. So I think those two guys kind of have a negative correlation, and Chris Middleton has kind of had the same a bigger role than Champagnie. He's more of like the 3-and-D rebounding guy. So I think I prefer Middleton over Champagnie tonight. Don't really have anything negative to say about him. He fills some weak positions, but he's also getting a ton of ownership. Middleton shouldn't be super high on. I just want to pull up the ownership real quick, but I think he will be lower on
23%. We have or taking the average. Again, it's still earlier in the day. We look at some of this ownership and don't understand, but we have Champagnie 47, Middleton 23.
Yeah, that feels like a decent pivot to make if you're considering one of those guys at power forward. Like Middleton is cheaper and it's not projecting much worse than Champagnie.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know if that ownership gap will be that big. Maybe it's like 44-25, but I do think Champagnie will be higher owned. I can comfortably say that. Anytime a shooter is looking at 60% ownership, I mean, an off shooting night, he just scored 10. Trey Johnson, that is 2 games ago. So, like, I don't hate getting underweight there. How many are you going to make any rule? If you had 4 Wizards in the flagship, are you fine with that?
I'm not sure. Got to wait to see how it looks getting closer to lock and building, but I don't think that I would want to come in with more than 2 of George, Bub, and Trey Johnson. I feel like those 3 guys there's just a lot of ownership that you're getting with playing all 3 of them. And in some ways, like Keyshawn George and Bub are negatively correlated just because they're kind of competing for the same stats, but kind of similar for Trey Johnson. So I think I want to come in with a max 2 of those 3 guys and have to double check and see how much Champagnie and Middleton are overlapping. But to me, they feel negatively correlated. So you could be a max 1 of those 2 guys. I think that's it. Like I'm fine having Sar with 3 Wizards tonight.
Negative 0.02 according to Sabersim, Champagnie and Middleton. I was also going to mention FanDuel and DraftKings. Big difference. Joval, 3,900 on FanDuel, 6.1K on DraftKings. Joval will be the chalkiest center more than likely on FanDuel, which allows you to spend up for guys like Jamal Murray a lot easier over there. So like the Wizards will be popular everywhere, but Joval, Murray, and Aaron Gordon will be – I mean, Gordon and Murray are getting ownership on DraftKings too, but they'll be some of the chalkiest guys on FanDuel. Really big difference. Obviously, you can only play 1 center on FanDuel, so something to note if you're going anywhere but Joval. I mean, it's a big enough slate. It's not like anywhere but Joval's low owned, but like Sarge is power forward. Let me see some other just centers. Man. If you're trying to spend up, you got to like go to the Senguns, the Embiids, like really, really different stuff. I'd focus more on a mid-tier pivot or something like that, or play a Sar that you can play at center as well, and power forward play him at center and something like that. But yeah, thoughts on Joval? Assuming he starts, he's probably pretty strong. 3.9K.
Sorry, who are we talking about?
Joval. If he starts, like a 6.1K is a big price, but on FanDuel, like you're not really worried. Good point per minute guys, first game back, like you'd be fine plugging him in.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't realize he was that cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slate, Houston Rockets and the Philadelphia 76ers. We are looking at, where is this? 2.5 point favorites of the Rockets, 221.5 total. Steven Adams is out for the Houston side. No one else to note. PG is questionable again for the 76ers. You were right when you talked on the show on Tuesday that it wasn't just or like it's not just maintenance or stuff, that is banged up, and he missed both of the last 2 games when he was questionable. I take it you have no clue about today. We will get this news obviously before lock at 7 Eastern, but yeah, I mean, this game looks terrible for DFS. Pretty much two fully healthy teams, appropriately priced. I got nothing.
Yeah, I think this one is the lowest over under on the slate, I believe. Yeah, I mean Charlotte and Orlando are pretty close, but yeah, this one feels this is the lowest. So it feels pretty gross. I feel like there are you can make the case for the spend ups like Maxey, Sengun, and Embiid. I think are all in play, but not smash plays by any means. I think you're going to get probably better point per dollar ceilings from some of the other guys at their positions. The upside for Maxey is that he's playing so many minutes, and it's not a terrible matchup. The Rockets are giving up a lot of pick and roll scoring this season. Maxey's like a top 10 pick and roll scorer in the NBA. You're going to see a lot of Amen Thompson. I think Maxey and Amen are the two. They lead the league in minutes per game. So there's a chance that both these guys just play 40 plus tonight and match each other's minutes, which is interesting because obviously Maxey is a great per minute producer. Looked really tired last game against the Suns. He didn't really do that well either, but kind of grinded his way to 41 fantasy points, 43 minutes on a back-to-back is crazy. But yeah, I don't mind the matchup for him, but not somebody I'm going out of my way to play. Thing for Embiid is just that he's matchup proof. It's a really tough matchup. Houston, really good interior defense. So I don't like him as much as I like Maxey personally. And then Sengun, I think that his matchup is actually pretty decent. Outside of having some foul risk, the Sixers are much worse on defense with Embiid on the court. They're one of the worst rim defenses in the league. And over the last 6 games since returning from injury, Sengun has seen an uptick in his rebounding rates, averaging double-digit boards and 12.5 potential assists per game. So he does have a few different outs, even if he's not getting the scoring going. He could pretty good bet for a double-double with a chance for a triple-double if the game flows that way for him. So I'm fine with Sengun, and I think Amen is okay as well, just because he's going to play so many minutes. Rim defense pretty weak for the Sixers. I think that he could get some scoring going, but I don't really like the price tags for these guys. I just think that it's kind of a gross game all around. And you can go back to Oubre because he'll play a ton of minutes if Paul George were to miss. He's probably playing 34 plus.
I'll definitely sign up for 34 minutes of Kelly Oubre, 100% there. So that's the only appeal I got if there is no PG. Because you'd rather Paulo over any of these spends, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'd prefer him over Sengun. Similar. I think it's like the same price tag, same position too. So
yeah, ownership's low on both guys. I guess like more flagship stuff. If you're playing that flagship and you're playing a bunch of wizards and stuff, maybe this is where you get the 2%, 1% guy that goes for 68 and is the difference maker. So it's really hard in single entry stuff where you don't have to be perfect. And more large field stuff, I don't hate, I guess, sprinkling the spends, but definitely does not look great on paper. Man, this I love in the YouTube chat. So put me in, Chris said, MMA show tonight. Yep, Big Marley and I will be going live at 8:45 Eastern tonight, talking MMA. Super pumped for it back. And I mean, look at it. We got so many people. Williams in here, Splash is in here, Collins in here. Everyone's talking coach again. Everyone's talking some fights. So yeah, we'll be live tonight. Really excited to talk again with my guy, Big Marley. And again, we'd love to have you. 265 watching in here. Hope everyone's having a great day. If you're not a member at Chip It, which I bet you a lot of these people watching have not tried, you can get in as low as $9 for the day. But for $10 more, you'll get 5 days. That gets you NFL, massive prizes on Sunday. We'll have all the content for that. MMA's back this weekend. Of course, NBA every day, NHL every day, PGA Showdown content as well. Prizes are pretty good there. Yeah, $19. You can get 5 days. Discord, Saber Sim, all of the content, the education videos. I do not think you'd regret it one bit. We'd love to have you as well. But otherwise, like button also helps us out a ton. Subscribe button as well. Yeah, Jake, not Splash. Oh, God. Sorry, Jake. All right. Nothing else in that one. Let's go to, definitely a little better game on the slate. You said you got a lot of talk about the Warriors stuff. Curious to hear what you have to say. We are looking at, let me refresh, 5.5 point favorites. The Warriors are favored 234.5 total, which is pretty good. Gary Payton's questionable. The only thing there, obviously, Jimmy's out. On the Dallas side, no Daniel Gafford. Ownership in this, we'll go ownership first. 3 guys, Steph, Pods, Draymond, all looking to get a little bit. But after that, the game's not really looking to get any ownership. So where do we have Kuminga? Obviously, okay, yeah. He's not projected to start. So a lot of this changes if he is going to start. So I'll let you talk through it, and maybe I'll throw some numbers in there if he does start or whatnot.
Yeah, it's obviously really gross anytime talking about a Warriors team on the main slate. It's really tough to feel confident in them. We even kind of talked about it last night. Like I had a ton of pods and I was happy to see him starting, but didn't play well. They got blown out by the Raptors. And you just don't really know what they're going to do. Like, I don't think Steve Kerr knows what he's going to do going into the game. I don't think that it was even the plan to play Kuminga last game because he didn't check in until the second quarter. And then I think Quentin Post didn't see any minutes in the second half. So it's just a very fluid rotation. They played 12 guys in the first half, which is just terrible for DFS. So I don't want to lean into any sort of ownership. I saw, like you said, Draymond give me one of the chalkier owned guys on the slate. Like, he's fine. You're never really getting buried by playing him. He's really not been that great as a fantasy producer this season. Does have the assist and rebounding upside to be in consideration at his price tag, but I don't really believe that he should be worthy of being one of the highest owned plays in the slate personally. So I'll probably take him down a little bit. I do prefer pods if getting to one of the guys that is getting ownership because he's only 5.3K, been playing really well. Has much more upside, but both from like a scoring standpoint, but a fantasy production standpoint over Draymond, in my opinion. Even if he comes off the bench or stays in the starting lineup, I feel like his role is pretty solidified, and you can attack Dallas with guards. Mainly guys that are going to be playing on ball because the Dallas defense is kind of one of the biggest gaps from how they give up points. They're allowing the third least 3-point frequency in the NBA while being a bottom 7 rim defense. The number definitely grows a little bit when you take off AD, take off Daniel Gafford. So the Warriors going to have to figure out a different way to score because the Warriors are first in offensive 3-point frequency this season, 24th in rim scoring. So you got to wonder what's going to be the game plan. Dallas kind of sells out to stop the three. So for that reason, I think it's a little bit of a worse matchup for Curry, but he can obviously do a lot more than just shoot. I don't think that we obviously have not seen the big ceiling game from Steph without Jimmy yet. But we know that it's in there. And 9K is a good price tag for a guy that has like 40 plus real point scoring upside and probably 60 to 70 DK point upside. I just wonder if it's going to come in a game where a Dallas defense is going to try to stop him shooting the threes. Like, maybe it comes with the peripheral stats. Maybe he adds more assists than normal and then gets like 28 and 10 or something like that, which we know he's capable of. So I'm fine with Steph for sure. And then I think you have to keep an eye on the starting lineup for guys like Melton, Moses Moody, and Kuminga. Like I said up top, I feel like there's a chance Kuminga starts. And if he does, he's way too underpriced. Even if the minutes are shaky, we know that he's got a ton of upside. So I'd be playing Kuminga a ton if I knew that he was going to be starting tonight. I feel like 4.5K for how he gets scoring too is a very drive-heavy wing. I feel like he could definitely get some easy points up against this Dallas defense. So I'm interested in Kuminga for sure.
What percent do you like? Are you going to put him at starting? Are you going to raise that projection hoping that because it's 30 minutes after lock, assuming it's right at 30. If it the starting line comes out an hour before, 45 minutes, we're all playing the same game. Everyone knows that. But assuming we don't have the news, projections don't update. Like, a lot of stuff's being locked in early. So you just plugging them and then you just have to make pivots. Obviously, you have Draymond right there. That's a little more expensive, but there's still later games, like forcing yourself to have a couple positions open and plugging in Kuminga. What's your approach on that?
Yeah, you probably just have to take the chance on it. I feel like he's in the rotation regardless. So maybe you take like a middling projection, give him a couple more minutes than he's projected right now, maybe like the 23-minute range. That should get you plenty of him, I feel like.
Okay.
You also have the Spurs guys that you could pivot off of. Yeah. Because they are getting a little bit of ownership. So you might even be starting with some San Antonio guys. They are a little bit more expensive. Keldon Johnson will be the most comparable position and price wise. So you kind of need multiple positions open, but you should have some pieces to swap on. You got the Minnesota stuff, San Antonio, Wemby, Castle, Fox, all going to be getting a good amount of ownership. So you should have enough to swap onto, I feel like.
Yeah, especially if you're limiting yourself to 3 Wizards. I mean, if you're going to be lighter on them, then you definitely will.
Yeah. think that's it for the Warriors side. Dallas, I'm not too interested in it. I think Flag, like he was supposed to be around 20 to 25 minutes in his return with the ankle injury, got up to 30. I don't know. He had 28 in that game against the Knicks. So I don't know where they're going to settle. It looks like people are projecting him as full tonight. I would probably take a more cautious approach there, and he's getting a little bit of ownership. So I don't really think I want to go to Flag. The Warriors are playing pretty bad on defense right now, so there's a chance that somebody has a good game, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough on this slate. Flag and PJ would be the two guys I have the most interest in. But then also, I think Christie deserves a little bit of love because the Warriors are giving up some more threes right now. Over the last two games, they're giving up like, I forgot the numbers. It might be in like the 17-ish range of threes per game. And he's just coming off of arguably his best game of his career, 8 for 10 from 3 against the Knicks in the Garden. It was really, really good to see 35 minutes there. So he's got high minutes upside and some pretty good scoring upside. We talked about him a few weeks ago in like for a showdown where there's been a lot of positive coach speak from Jason Kidd about wanting him to take more threes because he's shooting like 44% from deep this season. So he's just a really, really good shooter. It makes sense to give him more looks. I think that they want him to get up to 10 a game. So there's definitely a lot of scoring upside for him. So I'll be keeping him in the player pool as well.
Nice. So if you went Christie, Steph, Pods, that's fine? Three in this game?
Yeah.
That's way over ownership, I would say. I boosted Draymond's ownership down a little. Like he's gonna be owned for sure. Oh, actually the latest update boosted it down a little from 41 to 36. So I did refresh and it's coming in, but definitely will be owned 41% or like with higher than some of these Wizards. I'm not necessarily sold on that, but yeah, Curry, Pods, and Christie. There you go. You can play 3 in this game at ownership. That'll be very overweight.
What like fantasy projection would you be upset for not having Draymond, or like if he had a final score of like 33,
of
34?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean 34. I think but you're not crushed like we just talked about with the Pistons stuff yesterday. So I mean, yeah, where are you like really kicking yourself? Probably 38, but I think there's slates where he gets 36 and I can see this being high enough scoring where he gets 36 and yeah, I mean, maybe he's on the team, maybe he's not. A couple teams in the top 10 have him and don't and stuff like that. What do you think?
Yeah, probably like 36 plus. I feel like you'd probably want him.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely would want, if I know he's scoring 36, I mean, I'm playing 85% maybe. I don't know. Like a known outcome like that, but I don't think it's 95% to be optimal on this slate. I do think there's enough value and mid-tier stuff for sure that can compete. I also think, what are your thoughts here? If Kuminga starts, that hurts Draymond. His rebounding percent goes down a little bit, maybe touch time usage, or do you see it differently?
It wouldn't hurt his rebounding percentage, but probably usage. Usage for sure would hurt everybody just because he is a guy that demands pretty high usage. But I can pull up the numbers of what it actually looks like when they share the court together. It's different than having Jimmy out there. Like it's not a 1-for-1 skill set. It's more so Kuminga. They need him out there for scoring. They never really liked having Kuminga and Draymond sharing the court together just because Kuminga is not enough of a floor spacer, but I think you might just have to live with what he gives you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're going to have to try. I think it's better than really their other options. All right, we'll keep it rolling. 2 games left on the slate. Appreciate everyone hanging out. 300 watching. After this game is when I'll make a pretty cool announcement for people. So after this game is when we'll do that. Very exciting stuff being added for Ship and Nation. Before that, though, we are talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves, 8.5-point favorites over the Chicago Bulls. 237.5 total in this one. Patrick Williams questionable on the Chicago side. Julius Randle questionable on the Minnesota side. That's pretty big news. I'll just say, or I'll ask you right away, do you have a lean on that? Because a lot of roster spots will be filled early. And if there's no Julius Randle, like Ant, who already looks pretty solid, and I think a good spend would be very elite. Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, like there'd be bumps for sure. So any thoughts on Randall's Q tag?
I haven't seen enough of reporting about his injury, so I'm not really sure. But with Minnesota being favored by 8.5, I feel like that indicates that he's in. Chicago's been playing decently as of late, and they're getting Giddey back, so you'd think that the spread will be a little bit closer, especially Minnesota coming off of a loss to the Jazz. You would think that the spread's closer, but yeah, I think that he's probably in. But like you said, like if you wait around and you get it right, you're getting really, really good ownership and a ton of production from multiple positions on the Minnesota side. Because I think it's a really strong spot for them. So I don't really have a strong lean there, but yeah, kind of hope that he's out because I like the Minnesota stuff a lot.
Would you play any Julius Randle? Do you think that's worth taking the risk on? I guess when you play him, like you want other pieces to have, or like you want other roster spots to be able to swap and stuff too. In single entry, that's easy, but in your MME 150, where it's like a little harder to do that stuff, are you gonna keep Randall's projection normal and run it whatever you get, you get?
Yeah, probably just because I don't think there's enough places to pivot if you don't get it right.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, like you said, if you play him, you're probably gonna want like two other Minnesota guys, a Chicago guy, and like one or two Spurs, Utah guys, just to give yourself the most flexibility to change things around. Because then you're talking about getting Naz Reid at 6.2K. That might allow you to get up to Wemby and things like that. So I think you should probably be setting some sort of rule to where you can pivot off of a lot of Julius Randle to these guys.
100%. Ant or Wemby, and then you can just break down this game.
I think Wemby tonight, but I love Ant too. I think it's a really great matchup for him.
And you definitely can play both. 2 spends on this slate is not hard.
Yeah. So I think this is definitely a good, probably the best game environment as a whole. Like I think Chicago is playing good enough offense right now, and the Minnesota side are struggling enough defensively to where this game does stay close and we get full minutes from everybody. And we know that Chicago likes to play fast paced. Minnesota plays pretty fast as well. But yeah, the Wolves are the 22nd ranked defense over the last 2 weeks, but third on offense. Bulls are 13th on defense, second in offense over the last 2 weeks. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher to get DFS worthy scores from the Chicago side when you add in Josh Giddey, but I think that they have enough offensive firepower for the game itself to be close. So I do have interest in the Wolves for DFS. I'll say that if you're going to play anybody in Chicago, I think it's going to be Vooch in a close game. He usually is putting up a fine enough score. And then some of the guards like Giddey, and I don't think you're really playing Giddey coming back after a long absence, but maybe Kobe White. Wolves are dead last in pick and roll defense, so that's kind of how you want to attack them with guards. Kobe White's been playing a lot better lately. I just wonder how much of a negative impact having Giddey on the court, because he just demands so much touch time. He has the ball in his hands so much when he's out there that it might be tougher to get a good score from Kobe White at 6.7K. But on the Wolves side, I think it's much better. I love the spot for Ant. Very drive-heavy guard. Bulls are a huge rim funnel. They have been all season long. They're allowing the 4th most fantasy points to shooting guards this season. And then if Randall were to miss, I think that he's fine even with Randall in the lineup, but you get the added benefit of Randall potentially missing. He averaged 51 DK points per game without Randall last season. Sees a plus 3.6 usage increase, 1.6 assist, and has a 1.32 fantasy point per minute production. So very, very strong role for Ant if Randall were to miss. I think Gobert definitely deserves some attention as well. He averaged just under 40 DK points without Randall last season, and it's a really good matchup for centers. We've looked to attack Vooch all season long. Gobert is playing really good basketball right now, and I think he could get some scoring going against the rim funnel defense like them. They're also allowing a ton of rebounds to opposing centers, so good spot all around for Gobert tonight. And then kind of same thing for Nas. Like Nas is in play regardless. Then you get if Randall were to miss, then he would be one of the best plays on the entire slate, in my opinion, at 6.2K. Probably don't think I have too much interest in Dante and Jaden McDaniels, but I would, if I knew that Randall were to be out, I would be playing a ton of Joan Behringer. I'm not sure if I pronounced his last name right, but there's been a lot of talk from like the Minnesota beat writers about like they're asking Finch a lot of questions about him, and he'll say like when guys are in, he's not going to play a lot, but when they're out, they'll find minutes for him. if Randall were to miss, then you're kind of solidifying him as the backup center, which should be around 18 to 20 minutes, depending on how Gobert is playing. That'd be really interesting for me because I think he's got a ton of upside just in the NBA, but for sure from a fantasy production standpoint, he looks like a pretty solid fantasy producer. So I'd have interest in Behringer if I knew early on that Randall were to miss.
Yeah, that's why you come and watch Rio talk some NBA. No one is talking about John Behringer today. John Johan, what is it?
I think it's Joan.
Yeah, Joan.
But his last name might be pronounced a little differently.
That's Joan Behringer.
I know if Little Nick's in here, he can tell us because he's the Wolves guy.
The thing about him is, I mean, it's so hard to get him on the main slate because there's two centers. Granted, one of them, like, Sarr's really strong early, Wemby's really strong late, but like none of them are value. Like you'd have to get this news at some point and have like 4 open spots or whatever. And then, I mean, you can flip it. If you have like Wemby and no Ant, and then you get Randall, you could play Behringer at the center instead of Wemby, or at the util position if you already played someone else. Then you spend up at other spots that you have more value in and make it work. I mean, I don't know, plan it out. It's a lot easier to plan with your single entries type stuff. He's going to be like 0.05%. Maybe it's not the slate. I mean, if he does get the start, or like you wouldn't even get the start, but if Julius Randle's out, I still think he would probably be like 2%, regardless of what he's projected, if that. So that's interesting. Shout out to Rio for a hidden gem, maybe, but it's harder to get. I think the more interesting things is just playing Nas, just playing Ant, just playing Gobert. I mean, they're not bad plays, even if Randall's in, and you get really big bumps if they're out. So, yeah, I think the Timberwolves are really good on this slate. You have to prioritize them being an hour later than these first games at lock that are appealing. And, yeah, it can only get better for them if there is no Randall. So I think it's strong. Clicking a Chicago name seems very difficult to me, though, with Giddey back. All right, now that we got one game left, Rio, I think it's time to introduce drum roll. I think Newens is going to like this. It's similar to what he does, but we want another piece of content for the NBA streets, and this is completely automated. It's all numbers. There's no human opinion based in it, and it's going to be a DVP sheet. So at 5 Eastern today, in 13 minutes, NBA, you're going to – it's right here, defensive – I don't think anything's loaded, or should I try and click on it?
Yeah, you can click on it. I'm not sure. It might already be loaded.
Let's see this.
Yep,
yes, it is. Let's go. So new DVP sheet. What this is based on projected starting lineups, and it will be updated with different starting lineups. The top 6 players against the defense at that position will be here. So today, Utah is the worst against point guards. De'Aaron Fox is the number 1 on that sheet. Rio, you can keep explaining it, or if I misspoke at all, but it's all automated. There's no human opinion based in it, and it will constantly update with starting lineups. Tell me if I misspoke anywhere. Talk about it. You and our guys behind the scenes have helped build this, so shout out to you. I think it's very, very cool piece of content, and I always love all numbers, no opinions in it. And that's exactly what this is. So, yeah, shout out to you. Shout out to the team behind the scenes. You can see it's already up on the site, NBA defense versus position. Yeah, anything you want to say?
No, yeah, you broke it down beautifully. This is something that we had kind of tabled over the last season or two, just not really have enough time to add it. But me and some of the guys behind the scenes were working on it. Wanted to get it added to the site as just another piece of the puzzle. It's not an end-all, be-all. It's just somewhere you can go to kind of – maybe add some 1v1 opinions to your process, or if it's, some confirmation bias things, whatever you want it to be. I think it's just one place to go to kind of see top plays at each position, just an added benefit to being a member over here. I'm definitely excited to use it. It kind of already been like DVP stuff, part of my process. Some people say it means nothing. We got a lot of shit for that last year, but it's definitely pretty big in the NBA. So we're excited to have that added.
This is a very good question. What's the duration?
It's all season.
It's this season's current numbers.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great question. Yeah, Jordan's on the same page. DVP matters. Doesn't know why people don't listen. Yeah, I'm definitely listening to my man Rio when it comes to the NBA streets. Very few watch it as much as him. Little Neck, who does our NBA content, Showdown content Monday through Friday. I mean, crushes main slate too, always in the Discord. It definitely pays to watch. Have some I know ball. Obviously, projections, ownership. What we have over here, constantly getting updates in, being around your computer. Very, very important in the NBA streets as well. But yeah, great community. You can get you can get over into Ship Nation for as low as $9 for the day, but just $10 more. $19 gets you 5 days, NFL content, NBA content, PGA Showdown, MMA, and NHL. ShipNation.com. It'll say join the nation. You can see all the options. We would absolutely love to have you. Comes with SaberSim and the Discord as well. Last game of the night, San Antonio Spurs. Let me refresh this quick. And the Utah Jazz. It's actually not the last game of the night. There's 2 games later and the Showdown content, but for the main slate, it's the last game. 12.5 point favorites are the Spurs. 236.5 total in this one. Spurs side, Luke Cornett is questionable. Cornett out, Socan questionable. Really doesn't mean too much. On the Utah side, Markkanen's still out, and then Bryce Sensabaugh and Keontae George are questionable. Yeah, I mean, if there's no Keontae, Collier, Matt Boy, he's probably going to play him even without the news. It's on an island, though. It's 1 hour after every other game. So, yeah, I guess just take it away. Like, can you play Keontae? How can you go about these Q tags? Obviously, Spurs side looks strong, though. And Wemby will be one of the more popular plays on the slate.
Yeah, I think that the Jazz, I mean, anytime they're on a slate, you're going to have a lot of interest in the other side of the game. Jazz have been playing some competitive basketball lately, but there also is a ton of blowout risk here, and I think you would kind of be pretty upset if you played Wemby or Castle or Fox in a blowout because you're obviously not getting the full run, but it's the Keontae Q tag matters a ton because I think it's going to be really tough for them to stay competitive without him out there. Losing your best scorer and probably the best player on the team now would obviously be bad, but if all things were equal and I know I'm getting full minutes from all the guys on the Spurs, I have a ton of interest in all of them, but Wemby I think is really, really good. The Jazz are dead last, or one of the worst 3-point defense in the league. I believe they're bottom 3, giving up a ton of transition scoring, high turnover team. Spurs are playing really good on both ends of the court, top 6 defense over the last 2 weeks, kind of struggling a little bit on offense, but Wemby is getting healthier, got up to 30 minutes last game. I think the way that you want to attack the Spurs with Wemby on the court, it's really tough to get to the basket while he's out there. Obviously, just a huge human being, really great shot blocker, so you're going to want to attack them with 3-point shooters. Jazz don't really have a ton of great ones outside of Keontae. I think Ace is pretty solid. Sevilla's okay. Filkowski can stretch it. But Sensabaugh is kind of the big one with Laurie out. He's the guy that is the best from beyond the arc, but he's also questionable. Yeah, I mean, I'll talk the Jazz stuff first because if Keontae's out, you're definitely going to want to have interest in Isaiah Collier. I think he's going to play regardless. Like the backup point guard minutes are flip-flopping a ton when Collier is not starting. They did that a couple times where you had him starting over Svi, which kind of solidifies Walter Clayton Jr.'s minutes. But if Collier is coming off the bench, then it's just a coin toss on who it's going to be getting the backup point guard minutes. I don't think that Clayton would even check in until the 8-minute mark in the second quarter. That's what I saw the last time Collier was off the bench. But yeah, if Keontae's out, I expect Collier to start. Clayton Jr. would pick up a pretty big role off the bench as well. Those 2 guys would be the main value pieces I'm looking at. But if you are playing Keontae or Nurkic, you definitely want to pair them up with some Spurs guys just to give yourself some outs to play some value if Keontae's out. But also those guys are getting there in a close game environment, so you're getting full run from the Spurs guys as well. So that's what I'd be looking to do if at least one of Keontae or Nurk, at least one, maybe 2 of like Wemby, Castle, Fox, probably even tossing Champagny in there as well. But yeah, I don't really have a lot to add on the Utah side right now. I feel like you can play Ace at 5.4K because he's starting and playing a lot of minutes right now. He's honestly playing really well. The numbers, like the fantasy numbers, haven't been great. You're not really getting like huge outcomes from him. But yeah, he's been fun to watch, and he had some pretty sick highlight plays last game. So I think he's okay, not great. I definitely have a lot more interest in the Spurs, though. I think Wemby is an elite option at 9.7K. If I knew that he was playing full minutes tonight, just has a lot of ways to get to get there. He's rebounding the ball well, shooting the ball a lot better. I think he put up 33, 10, and 1 against the Jazz the last time they faced. 4 stocks in that game, just under 60 DK points. He's averaging just under 57 DK points in 27 minutes versus the Jazz this season. So that's like over 2 minutes of 2 fantasy points per minute, which is just crazy for anybody. But yeah, Wemby is a guy that can do that. So I do have interest in him for sure. Castle and Fox are in a great spot. If you look at the DVP sheet, they'll be at the top of the list. I like both those guys a ton. Castle's had the slightly stronger role this month, a little bit more touch time, slightly more assists and potential assists per game. Rebounding edge, it goes to Fox. And Fox has had the better track record against Utah this season. He missed one game, but put up 41 DK points the last time they faced off, whereas Castle in that 34 range. There's a little bit of leverage playing Fox over Castle. He's more expensive and half the ownership. I do like Castle more just because I think that he's got much higher upside when he does get there. He has more rebounding and assist upside on a regular basis. But I definitely will get some Fox tonight. I'm fine playing those guys together, but I think it's going to be a max 2 of Wemby, Castle, and Fox. And then Harper should be tossed into the group with Castle and Fox. It's a max 2 of those 3 guards. And I think that he is in play as well. Has a little bit of chance to play blowout run, playing back to like the low 20s minutes again. And it's a really great spot for guards. So he's definitely in play.
I'm not sure I quite believe this ownership, though, on the Spurs. I believe Wemby's. And I believe, Castle, we might even be a little light on at 21, but I don't think Harper's 32. Keldon's 24. Fox is 24. Like, what do we have? What's Washington? They did bump Washington's ownership, so we have been getting some updates. So I do like to see that. Do you have any takes on that, Spurs? Am I off on it? Do you think Harper and Keldon and Fox are really this high owned? And there's no way Castle's the 5th highest Spur.
No, yeah, he'll probably be the most. I think he probably gets the most ownership. Maybe
I think Wemby, but maybe it's.
Yeah, I'm just running some lineups right now to see if they're even hitting optimals because they're not projected like elite values by any means. So it could just be like a slate thing. But we have Penda now as a cheap forward, and then the Washington guys. So I'd be surprised if they come in as high as they're projected. It's probably going to be maybe 5 points less for each one.
It is like you said though, if you are trying to get the Randall stuff right, like if he misses and playing some Nas reads or again, you can play those guys. Kuminga's, maybe that's a little better option, I guess, at 5:30 if we don't get the news. But like you can just revert to the Spurs game. Like a lot of these guys are solid plays. And like maybe even some of the not thinner, but like Keldon's or like these guys, if it does blow out, which some of these guys are getting normal rotation that will play a little blowout or a little later into the game. Any of these guys, Harper?
Yeah, it'd probably be Harper and Carter Bryant are the only 2.
And it's hard to play Carter Bryant right now. So Harper is the one that you feel best at there. That's value though, but if it was in the util position, he's 4-2 and Kuminga's 4-2 or 4-4? 4-5.
Yeah.
So that if you had it in util, it could be a direct pivot. But yeah, I'm just thinking it through. Obviously, Washington stuff is really strong. Contrarian spend the Utah Philly or Houston Philly game bad. Some contrarian spends if you want low ownership though. First game, Paulo. The LaMelo news is important though. If he misses, some stuff would be opened up on Charlotte stuff. There really is just no spends on the slate. When you sort by salary, Tyrese Maxey 10K, but then Jamal, Wemby. You have Wizards value, you have value on the slate, and you don't really have too many spends. So it's kind of going to be more concentrated of a 6-game slate than most 6-game slates, I think. But yeah, I really like your point about yesterday in the Pistons, only 1 being on the winner in the flagship versus 4, I think you said. Like they had good games, but how many people are in your contest? 150 max versus single entry versus 3 max, payout structures. All of that's really important to look at and should kind of steer you in which direction, whether to be more chalky, to get more difference, take more chances, backloading, all that stuff. So great job, Rio, as always. Any other final thoughts? Very excited to get that DVP automated tool up there as well. And again, that's going to be refreshed based on projected starting lineups right now. When they come in, it will constantly be refreshed. So yeah, anything else for you?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. There was 2 on the winner in the large field GBP. I was talking about like the perfect lineup because I always
Oh, okay.
like to check that. Yeah, there's only one there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that meant when there's a couple 0.5% people like that,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need those. So 2 were on the winner. All right.
Yeah, I mean like 336 was the winning score in the main tournament, and the perfect lineup was like 361. So nobody was getting close to that.
No, definitely not. What's up, AX Tron? Good to see you. Again, we'd love to have everyone at the Nation MMA show tonight. Big Marley and myself. 5 days for $19 can get you a lot of these sports: NFL, NBA, PGA Showdown, MMA, and NHL. Discord, Saber Sim, education tools, everything you need to be successful for DFS. Rio, anything else you want to say? Any final thoughts?
No, not really. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And yeah, excited about the new content added to the site. Excited to watch my Patriots go to the Super Bowl in a few weeks. So yeah, it's good.
Go Broncos.
Good weekend over here.
Yeah, great weekend when the Broncos started off. Go Broncos, go Stidham. Rio and I on different pages here. Sorry, Rio, it's not cheering against you. It's cheering for the Pockets, but that's going to do it for us. Good luck, everybody, in the NBA streets tonight. We will have Ham and Matt back tomorrow talking some hoops. For Rio, I'm Title Town. Good luck tonight. Be safe. Peace.